Hi. Welcome back to Direct Edition. This is a podcast about nothing and everything. I'm your host, Dave. Today on NPR, we're going to be talking about the country of Japan. Founded, I actually have no clue, the origins of Japan. I got my hoodie up. I got my lights on. It's late into the night. And I'm recording a podcast because this is your season finale. Yes, my friends, we have come to the end of season 2, the 20th episode. I took a little break from recording. I gave you the Mark Bagley interview as a little just break. Mark Bagley, one of the longest running Spider-Man artists of all time. And as you heard in the interview, he's done more Spider-Man books than anybody. But I think the 20th episode is always a good way to just kind of sever the ties of the season, take a little break. Everybody hits the reset button. We come back in 2025 and we start talking about whatever it is that's been going on. It's kind of like the John Oliver model. John Oliver, last week tonight, British comedian who's now an American citizen. Also, he was one of the stars of Community. He was on the Daily Show too. I know a lot. Actually, it's funny. I ran into John Oliver once at the Meltdown in Los Angeles, California, in Hollywood. West Hollywood? West Hollywood. Maybe. Whatever. I used to go to that store a lot whenever I traveled to Los Angeles for work or for pleasure. If you are a Los Angelinos, or you're a Southern Californian, you most likely have heard of the Meltdown. You've probably been to the Meltdown, but the Meltdown was this institution. I wouldn't even call it a comic store. It was an institution, not just a great comic store that had like indie stuff and toys and sculptures and all this cool stuff and artwork, but they had a gallery for shows, and then they had basically like an event space that was a makeshift comedy club / podcast recording studio place, because the Meltdown was recorded there, I believe. But anyway, my buddy Josh used to work there. And whenever I'd go into town, he would be like, "Oh, this is blah, blah, they're doing a thing Friday night at the Meltdown." I think it might have been an improv show. Yeah, it sounds about right. And all I remember is I went in there, I was like kind of looking through books, and I'm standing next to John Oliver. I don't think I had ever seen Community, and I don't know if Community existed yet. I think I only knew him from The Daily Show and maybe like a role in something. Anyway. It was nice, but I don't remember much of that interaction. But the Meltdown was, it was an institution. Like, I did a lot of cool stuff there, and definitely hung out there with Joe Benitez a bunch of times, and met Jim Lee there, and good times. Great shop, great institution, and rest in peace, because I want to say it closed during COVID or somewhere in there. They had a great Thai place across the street, Rockin' Toy, on Sunset, because it was on Sunset Boulevard. And then there was something else over there. Was there a Morrison Hotel Gallery or something? Either way, I used to love Los Angeles. I used to want to move there, but I ended up just going there a lot after a while for work and for pleasure. Here we are with the end of the season. I have decided to not release the political episode. I feel like we've been inundated with too much since the election. And I think it was good for me to record for my own mental stasis. But if I decide to release it, I may do a West Coast Davengers / Direct Edition newsletter, maybe once every quarter, and just kind of drop, just some stuff that's going on, maybe like a couple of things for sale that are exclusive to the newsletter, maybe a discount code for merch, because I do have t-shirts and stuff. And then I think another component of it would be to drop either a unreleased episode of Direct Edition or a special West Coast Avengers YouTube show episode that's never been released. I think that would kind of give people incentive to sign up for a good old newsletter and, build a community of this podcast and the YouTube channel, or, a little bit strengthen it, build it up a little bit more through the newsletter, because I wouldn't want to do it every month because I think that's too much of a responsibility that I don't want. But once every quarter, that's easy. Like once a season, winter, spring, summer, and fall. I don't think anybody's going to be upset about getting 4 emails a year from me, And if you are, well, fuck, I don't give a shit. But yeah, so I leave. I'm leaving in 4 days for Tokyo. This is going to be my first time going to Japan. Obviously, I'm really excited. And it's interesting because like I'm very much excited and also extremely apathetic to it, which I think is good for my anxiety. And the reason why I'm just kind of like, a little bit like that is because I don't know what it's like to be in another society, like another type of society, Canada, the UK, Amsterdam, island countries that I've been to. They're all just kind of versions of the same kind of society, and the culture's different, obviously. But you walk around the streets of London, and you walk around the streets of Glasgow, and you walk around the streets of Edinburgh, or you go out to the islands or the Highlands, or you go to the Bahamas, you go to Barbados, and you go to Mexico. Like everything kind of is just, it's like all looks the same in a way, or it all feels the same. Like you don't have to, people don't act differently. That's what it is. But what everybody's told me about Japan and Tokyo is that it's such a different way of life. And I think to me, the excitement and the kind of not mysteriousness, but the lore. No, not the lore. What's the word I'm looking for? I just don't know. I don't know what to expect, and I think that's putting my brain in a weird place. Like I'm not nervous. I'm a little nervous that like, because I'm generally a very lively, loud person, but that's in my own home. And that's also like when, I'm in a setting like that. I'm so excited. Plus, like the difference between, I took the Long Island Railroad and the New York City subway to work for a combined 10 years or something like that. Now, the Long Island Railroad, in the morning, the commuters, nobody wants to fucking deal with anything. Everybody's just either sleeping, chatting with maybe their commute mate, or headphones and, reading a book or watching their phone. So on the way back, it could be a little bit noisier. It could be a little bit more crowded, but the New York City subway is its own fucking beast. Like, I don't know if anything really compares to it. Like, I've been on the Underground in London, and that's quieter. It's a little less unruly, I mean. And, you know what to expect, but everybody talks about the subway in Tokyo being like this, like just ultra, everybody lets everybody get on, get off, you squeeze in, but you're, and like, I'm interested because this will be the next of the very big cities that I'll have been to in this world. And I have no plans on going to every major city in the world, but London, New York, and Tokyo are pretty fucking huge. And I think usually most people would say Paris in that same sentence, and maybe a couple others. And I don't think any Canadian cities really, Toronto is a big city, but it's a dwarf compared to New York, and then Los Angeles, But anyway, city life is something that I always like to experience the first kind of visit to a country. So I'm in for, I think, a culture shock, but in a good way, and I am fully embracing it because I have so much respect for just kind of going somewhere and trying to not blend in, but trying to experience as I would if I lived there. Try places that are not the thing that everybody does, or the thing that all the tourists do. I'm not big into tourist attractions. Like, I'm sure I'm going to go to some temples and I'm going to see some beautiful architecture, but architecture doesn't enamor me as much as people do, or like, immersing myself in uh, you know, or being around people, whether it's like one or two or whatever, or 100. And then the other kind of architecture that I really love, though, is nature's architecture. I love seeing mountains and whatever. I'd like to spend a day going to one of the beach towns in wherever in Japan that I can get to by train, just to, be by the water. I like being by the water. But it's interesting because I have a lot of friends that are there now or go there often or have been there a lot. And it's kind of funny from my perspective because I'm telling people I'm going to Japan and I'm getting a lot of unsolicited, messages and recommendations, and like, shout out to Lance and to Rohan in Australia and some other friends. Obviously Sean, Japan Book Hunter. I won't get to him in a moment, but he's one of the main reasons that I am going comfortably there, because I have somebody that is willing to show me around in regards especially to hunting comics, manga, etc., and seeing some of the big some of the cool bookstores in like Jimbocho. I think Jimbocho is the bookstore neighborhood. And Lance told me to go to this flea market and all this cool stuff. But it's interesting. The first thing that like everybody wants to talk about is food there, and I hit my stomach. I packed on a bunch of pounds this year. I do love food, but it's just so funny because if somebody was coming to New York while I still live there, or even now, I would, and they're like, oh, where should I go to get this, and this? Bagels are always going to be better in Long Island, but if you're not going to Long Island, sure, I'll recommend you some stuff in Manhattan, or at least around Manhattan. Pizza, but I would tell people to go to Joe's in Union Square because it's the best single slices that you're going to have in New York City. But I tell people go to Ruby Rosa to get the greatest Italian meal along with some of the greatest pizza. If you're going down to Harlem, you go to Patsy's. But I wouldn't tell people to go to I'd be like, you can go to any deli and get a great bacon, egg, and cheese, and you can get a great sandwich. But I wouldn't tell people to go to Shake Shack. Like, it's a fucking burger, and it's a fast food burger. I mean, the meat in this country ain't that great anyway. So, but I'm fascinated by the fact that everybody keeps talking about the Lawson's and 7-Eleven egg sandwiches. Jim Mahfood told me that the coffee at 7-Eleven is some of the best coffee he's ever had, which I can't imagine, but I understand things are different. But then my buddy Rohan's told me that there's a lot of processed foods there and had a hard time finding vegetables. Lance swears by the egg salad sandwiches, and then McDonald's, and I'm like, ugh. I'm going to try all of this stuff, sure, but nobody's ever going to be able to sell me on egg salad as something that I want. I'm sure it's great, and some of you that have been to Japan are probably like, Dave, you don't know until you've had it. And I'm not saying that it's not good, and I'm not saying that I'm not going to try it, but it's egg salad. It's egg salad. Is it going to give me a blowjob? Is it going to turn me into like, am I going to go Super Saiyan? It's egg salad. I'm going to Japan with target food on my mind being sushi. I love sushi. I love raw fish. I love fish in its purest form. I fucking love sushi. And I don't care if I get mercury poisoning in Japan. I'll die there from mercury poisoning. No other way. I'm going to go experience that. I am not a huge ramen guy, but every time I have ramen, always saying that, I like ramen. So I will be trying some ramen, but I am going to be eating sushi. I don't give a fuck about egg salad sandwiches. I'm also not one of those people, and this is a privileged thing to say, but it's not like I have a ton of money. I am not one of those people that goes on vacation and then all of a sudden does not want to spend money on the good things. Like, I want to eat food. I want to eat good food. I want to experience things. And if that costs me a little more money, I don't care. It's just money. Granted, you could say it's just food. You will shit it out, whenever. But the experience of it is the whole thing. I don't think it makes sense to go on vacation if you're going to be cheap, because it's not a vacation. You don't go to you don't go to Hawaii and stay at a Motel 6 as far inland as you can get. You try to, stay at somewhere nice on the, by the water. But like I said, I understand that's privilege, but at the same time, I'm just treating myself to something nice. So yeah, I am excited to just see what the 7-Eleven is like and Lawson's and all that stuff, because here, one of my favorite things to do on vacation when I'm in the UK, especially, UK has no recognizable, from an American standpoint, no recognizable grocery stores. Everything's different over there, just like people come over here. I mean, Whole Foods, I love going to Sainsbury's just to get the random stuff like bottled water and snacks and stuff. But I love exploring the grocery stores there just to see what's there. And obviously, we know as Americans, Japan has an entirely different set of rules when it comes to snacks. Their snacks are a different ball game. Just like when you go to the UK or you go to Europe, you get different types of crisps, chips, crisps. You get all weird flavors. So that I'm excited for, but I'm not going to just, eat junk food. I'm actually going to try and find some decent, maybe once a week of the 3 weeks I'll be there, I'll go and find something really nice, fine dining, just to treat myself. So yeah, that it's just funny, the responses I'm getting from people about, or like I said, the unsolicited messages of advice. And I fucking love it. The more, the better. I am you all know I'm a coffee drinker. I'm a coffee snob. I am excited to seek out some of these higher end coffee spots. My friend Scott sent me this whole tasting coffee thing. That's not my thing. I will try if somebody's oh, you got to go here and try this. I will do that, but I'm not going to sit and have a coffee tasting. I love black coffee, and I don't think that the Japanese pioneered the pour over, but some of because I know obviously the Italians, they own the cappuccino world and all that, but there are some coffee techniques and some great coffee stuff that came out of Japan that I'm just really excited for. So that's something I will be seeking out. And obviously the hunting of the manga and going to Mandarake and going to all the different crazy malls and, just doing some shopping, because it's one of the coolest ways to experience a country is immerse yourself in these, in what they sell. I mean, the whole thing that I used to think and, kind of verbalize is that, Americans kind of want to steal the pop culture from Japan, or love it, and Japanese want to kind of digest our pop culture, the Marvel stuff, the Star Wars stuff. So it's going to be fun to see this country through the eyes of merchandising, pop culture, and all that, consumerism, I guess. And besides the 2 comic conventions I'll be going to, which are Brave and Bold, which is all about art and not about comics, but about original art. And then Tokyo Comic Con, which is your, kind of your New York Comic Con or your SDCC of Tokyo. I'm going to be going to an original art auction with Sean, Japan Book Hunter Sean. He's taken me to some live auction that he goes to, I think, a couple days after I get there. I don't know what to expect. He said it's a lot of fun. He says the kind of comic stuff, the manga stuff, is towards the end of the auction. So that'll be fun. I'm going to attempt to get a ticket to see Tom York solo while I'm there. He's doing a solo tour that started in Australia and New Zealand, and now it's in Japan. It's sold out, and I would have bought a ticket when it went on sale, but at that time I was I'm not sure I'm gonna go to Japan, because I had moved and I had a lot of travel stuff this year, so I put it out of my mind. And then by the time I actually booked this trip, the tour was sold out. It would be nice to see him solo. I've never seen him solo. I've seen him with his Atoms for Peace, and then with Tomorrow's Matter boxes, or on the Anima tour. Anyway, So that's on the docket possibly, but that's like right when I get there. So we'll see how the jet lag is. I'll be hanging out with my friend Brian Moss, aka Mossy, who runs the Power to the Panel page, KFAM Sunday page, and we're going to be doing some streaming, I'm sure, together. That'll be fun. But with Sean, I'm really excited to just see him hunt. Like, I've never watched somebody else do what I do and be the person that's like, I'm just learning about this. And I'm gonna try and see if he wants to. He said there was one bookstore that he recently went to for the first time in a year. And it's a little bit outside the city, like 45 minutes. I'm like, dude, let's go. And I'm gonna try and convince him to like take another day trip somewhere else with me so that like we can do some hunting, but also I could just see like a smaller town or, you know, smaller part of the city. But I'm a little nervous to take like a day trip by myself just because, once again, it is in a completely different culture, place, vibe, whatever. I don't have problems when I'm in the UK being like, oh, I'm just going to go to, you know, north of London for the day or whatever, you know, whatever it is. And Amsterdam, when I was there, I just walked around the city for 2 days. I didn't smoke barely any weed, and I just explored on foot, which is what I want to do in Tokyo. Like, take a train to a neighborhood or take the subway in a neighborhood and just get off and walk. I mean, from what I understand, with the exception of like certain places at night, you can kind of like, it is a very safe place to just walk around. And, you know, I don't look like the type of person you want to really harass, do I? Start talking about Turok and, you know, make faces and go, so there's that I'm excited for. And then I'm going to try and behave in this regard, but Japan still has, and Tokyo still has, a very big record store scene. And, you know, I had a lot of Japanese imported records at one point. A lot of old Beatles records with OB strips. And, you know, it was nice to have that stuff. I didn't keep most of it. It was a collection that my friend gave me, and then I basically started selling it. But I spent a lot of time with those records because I had a couple hundred of them. So I would sell them batch at a time. But I think I want to pick up some stuff on there. See if I can find some Pearl Jam records. You know, maybe some of the Seattle stuff that I love to the core, and then I wouldn't mind owning the Japanese version of. I think it'll at least be fun to dig through stuff, and I'll probably hit up Scheme Richards just to ask him where like that kind of stuff exists in Tokyo, so he can guide me. And then I think they still have a Tower Records in Tokyo, but it may not be in the city proper. That I definitely want to go to. I want to check out, you know, just some of the stuff that's photographic, you know, worthy of taking photos or worthy of taking video of. I want to see that big Godzilla that's, I guess it's in Shinjuku Square. I'd love to catch a movie while I was there. Like maybe go see Gladiator 2 because it's in English, so it'll just be subtitled in Japanese. Or something, you know, if they do any like, well, see, I can't see anything that's a Japanese movie because it'll be in Japanese and there won't be subtitles in English unless it's something I've seen like Godzilla -1. I actually don't need to, I don't need to listen to the dialogue to know what's going on. I've seen that movie 5 times. If I don't catch the Tom York show, it'd be nice to also just catch a punk show or something like that. But I think this trip's gonna maybe rewire. I mean, I'm looking forward to it doing some really hard rewiring of the brain because everything I know is Western culture. Everything I've experienced is Western culture, mindset and all that stuff. All the, you know, mass transit I've ever taken has been Western culture. So not knowing what to really expect, you know, I could go on YouTube and watch a bunch of videos, but I don't want to. Like, to me, diving in face first is kind of my it's kind of like how I operate in life. I think putting too much thought into what I think I'm going to experience could actually just be fruitless. Um, I will be doing some research of places I want to visit, but when I get there, I'm gonna make sure that I can kind of get on the schedule, the, you know, time schedule. If I can operate between the hours of like 7 in the morning every day to 7 at night, I'll be fine. I have no desire to really do too much nightlife stuff in the late night. I'd like to go to a karaoke bar. I'd like to, I'm going to go hang out with Sean on his birthday while I'm there because his birthday. And he's like, I know you're sober. He's like, you can hang out with me while I tie one on. I'm like, I don't give a shit. As long as I know how to get home, I don't care. It doesn't bother me. So that'll be fun. And who knows what else I'll get into. I mean, I might, go out one night, late night, and just with somebody and just to see what it's like. But that life's not my life anymore. I'm definitely more of a daytime, morning, get it done. Let's do as much cool stuff while time permits. Maybe go to a gallery show or something like that at night. But I don't need to sit in bars. I don't need to go to, like run around and watch the drunk people passing out on the street. Stuff like that's not, it's not interesting to me. But, yeah, I really do think, I'm going to have a great time, and I don't know why I wouldn't, I'm not super excited about an 11-hour flight, but it's nonstop. I got the Comfort. I may upgrade to Comfort Plus, which I traveled for a long time for work and a lot of times, for pleasure. And it got to a point towards probably like right before, COVID hit that I was like every flight I was on, I got upgraded for free because I flew so much. And now, it's like the thought of paying for an upgrade at first. And, a couple years ago when I stopped traveling for work, I was like, and then I was like, wait, hold on. You're telling me I can improve my trip tenfold by having a great flight, by giving myself more room? Yeah, you know what? Let me just throw some money at that. It's just money. The idea of having comfort so that after 11 hours you don't feel like shit is so much worth it. And, I'm lucky because I'm traveling by myself usually, almost exclusively. And so, I don't have that worry of like kids. If I was traveling with a significant other, I'd be like, yeah, let's just both get the upgrade. But with kids, it becomes, unless you're made of money, imagine having 2 kids and trying to bump yourself up to Comfort or Comfort Plus, and you're like, oh, that costs $4,000. But I've watched the Comfort Plus upgrades, the prices go down. I think they went down like $300 since I booked the ticket. So I'm going to keep my eye on it because there's definitely like a little flight hack, that if you go to the airport early enough and there's still upgrades available, they will do it dirt cheap. Like they just want, because then they can get somebody to buy the ticket that you had, or they can, move people up so that they could sell more cheap tickets. So there's definitely a chance of that. I'm not going to go first class because no matter what that is, that's thousands. But Comfort Plus would be nice. I'd spend an extra $300 just to have those, 6 inches of leg room that I didn't have and have less people near me. But I do believe I do believe in the fact that you should try and make your trip as comfortable as you can with money. Airport transfers are a good thing. Like I am not landing and then trying to figure out the subway. I am landing. I'm going to go through customs. I'm going to get my bag and somebody's picking me up at the airport, and it cost me like $80, which is well worth it. So that I can just get to my hotel and put my stuff down and then figure out my bearings. I don't need to be all fucking like whacked out of my mind on time zone, drugs, which is, when it feels like you're on drugs when you you land somewhere and it's the next day, I am more than happy to pay somebody to get me to where I need to go. And that's the thing, like, I think the other part of it is like, if I stay away from doing like heavy tourist stuff, I actually end up saving money by not, like, people go to Seattle, right? I had a buddy come to visit me in Seattle when I first moved there in 2014. He was there like a month later, and he's like, "Oh, I want to go up the Space Needle." And I'm like, "That's cool. You guys can go. I'll meet you guys after." He's like, "No, I want you to come." I'm like, "I live here. Like, I don't need to spend 30, it's like 30, or it was like 25, $30 to go up on the Space Needle." He's like, "Oh, I'll just pay for you." I'm like, "Fine, I'll fucking go. I don't care." and then, we took a picture, and that cost it. And it was like, he spent, a couple $100 at the end of it with like 3 of us. And I could have been like, well, we could just gone up to this really nice neighborhood. There's a park and you could see the city better. But, and that's the thing. Like, you can't tell people what to do on their trips like that, but I don't have to do it myself. So that's just me. I travel weird. I like I said, I like just diving right in face first. Boop. So that's it for me. This has been the 20th episode, and I am so thankful. Yeah. I'm grateful and thankful to all of my listeners out there for joining me on this journey of 40 episodes. For now, we're going to come back. Don't worry. But I didn't think I would have enough to talk about on a weekly or every other week basis to make it interesting. And I hope it's been interesting. I still really don't understand what this podcast is completely. What I want it to be is different than what it is, but that's not a complaint. I'm going to, by the time I get back from Japan, Home Slice Joe is going to be taking charge of this podcast. He's going to be doing a lot of graphics for it. We're going to revamp all the thumbnail. We're going to do thumbnails and all this stuff. I'm going to put some money into it in that way and see if that helps it kind of grow a little bit. Because the right now you could see the YouTube channel is just basically, it's like the logo in the episodes or whatever. But while I'm in Japan, I'm going to be shooting some emails out, try to get some guests. If anybody has any connections to Tom Morello, I'd love to talk to him. He says he's a big comic fan. I think it would go well on this or both channels. So there we are. 40th episode, the end of season 2. I will return in 2025. But before I leave you know what time it is. It's time to ask you to like it, comment, and subscribe to it on whatever platform you can. All of the platforms, some of the platforms, whatever. You can also do me the favor of leaving a comment on Spotify or on YouTube, because you could do both. You could share this. You could pick an episode. You can go back and listen to them all. You could hit like buttons on all the episodes on YouTube to be good. But you could also just recommend an episode to a friend, because that would also really make me happy. The Jaws one is the one I try to get people to listen to, because that's like the objective one about movies. And I'm really proud of what I did with that episode. But we're going to read a comment on YouTube from one of my loyal, awesome listeners. So this one comes from my friend Brian, My Childhood Comics. I didn't even comment back on this because I didn't know what to say. It's one of those things where you just kind of don't have anything intelligent to say that's going to match up to how beautiful this is. And what Brian says is, Dave, as usual, I appreciate the sincerity and knowledge you bring to your work. And this was on the heels of the Long, Slow Murder of Comics. Your channel went through a big change when you started interviewing comic creators. I think it was the McFarlane interview that really set the pace for what's happened since. Very accurate statement. That really wasn't long ago, so there's still a lot of time for this to grow. The internet gives us the impression that things should happen more quickly, but I think it's always the case that the quality content takes longer to catch on because the right viewers need time to find it and realize what they're seeing, how valuable it is. I wonder how long it took kayfabe to catch on. I do hope that you do your cross-country tour. No kidding, I've been looking for something like that. You're just the person to do it too. You have a community here that cares about your work, appreciates your humor, and will come back as long as you keep sharing your love of comics. In a way, you have more friends than the rest of us. And once again, I don't know what to say to that because it's just such a sweet thing. And I think anything on top of it that I say would sound, it would ruin that comment. So Brian, thank you for that. It really, really made me feel good. And it really made me feel like whether or not 10, 1,000, 10,000 people end up watching and listening to this stuff in the way that you do and a couple others do, that's all that really matters. Like, the world that we live in where most people, they're just looking for the next thing. They're swiping up, they're clicking off, they're just looking for like 5 seconds here, 5 seconds there. I appreciate people that will listen to 38 minutes of moron in a hoodie yammering on about Japan. So thank you for that, and thank you to everybody else that's dropped comments. This it really means a lot. I don't look for it for validation, but it's nice to know that people are listening and actually listening. Once again, you can listen to Jimi Hendrix, but are you hearing Jimi Hendrix? Well, I'm not Jimi Hendrix. I'm not even as cool as Jimi Hendrix's middle finger on his right hand now. But I do enjoy people that pay attention. So thank you for that. And that's all I got. So everybody have a nice, warm holiday season wherever you are, whatever you celebrate or not. Watch Gremlins on Christmas because it is a Christmas movie. Also, Die Hard is. Jingle all the way. Anyway, have a happy New Year. And if you aren't subscribed to the West Coast Davengers YouTube channel, when I come back, I will resume programming and live shows and all that good stuff. But as for Direct Edition, this is Dave, Season 2, Episode 20, signing off. Take care of yourself.